Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we've been tracking Ernesto. It is now a hurricane with that 11 a.m. advisory, became a hurricane reconnaissance plane flying in the system. And they actually found about 50%, about half of an eye wall now starting to form with this system. They also noticed that the winds have increased right now up to 75 miles an hour. You're still looking at some of these really strong rain bands working their way back over Puerto Rico. You can see as time goes on how the activity is starting to taper off on that southeastern side of the island, but still it's going to take some time for all this to move away from Puerto Rico and from the Caribbean as we go through, say, probably about the next 12 to 18 hours. So another view here, we like to look at this because you get that kind of inside look what's going on in a storm. We're looking at the water vapors. So what you're seeing over here is a lot of dry air over the Bahamas and on that western side of the storm. That green, that's plenty of moisture, the very moist atmosphere. Now, here's the center right up in here, but notice what's going on. Every once in a while, you see a little bit of this little slot kind of working its way in there. And that's what this system has been dealing with, is a little bit of dry air that gets in towards the center, kind of disrupts a little bit. It's been slowing down that intensification process. So as we go through the next couple of days, that's really going to be something that we continue to watch with this, as we've got all this dry air out there. As this system continues to spiral, at times it will likely pull in some of that dry air. That dry air kind of chokes off the system. That, combined with, as it continues to move to the north, there are increasing signs that it will continue to see some areas of some moderate wind shear. So you put these two factors together, and that may tend to slow down the intensification process. Now, we're not saying this system is not going to intensify and become a dangerous hurricane. It does look like that, but the idea that this becomes a major hurricane may be a little bit lower as we head through the next several days. So we will continue to kind of monitor and feel for that as we go through the next several days. At least for now, though, Hurricane Center puts in their discussion. They are seeing these same ideas, but for now, they're just going to go ahead and kind of keep that continuity and call this a major hurricane and see if the models continue to trend that way. So that's something we'll be looking for as we go through the next couple of days. Does that official forecast track start to reflect what the models are starting to really show, that the system, it's going to be strong, but maybe not quite as strong as what we were thinking just yesterday and early this morning. Right now, winds are at 75 miles an hour. It's moving to the northwest at 16 miles an hour. But as we go through today into tonight, we'll look for more of a turn, more towards a northerly direction, eventually more towards a northeasterly direction. So there you see that forecast track. Category 2, potentially up to a Category 3 briefly. And then as it works its way towards Bermuda, we start to see more of that wind shear starting to become more of an issue for this. The trough will start to lift out as well. And then some of that dry air, that may play into this as well. That's why you're seeing this going from a Category 2 or a Category 3 back down to a Category 2 just before it reaches Bermuda. You see this little bit of a snaking here where it kind of bends back towards the coastline. A big part of that is because that trough that's to the north, which is pulling this system to the north, that starts to move away and it starts to lose some of those steering currents, which may allow it to bend back towards the west. Big part of this is, when does that happen? Because you see that official forecast track starts to bend it back towards the west a little bit, maybe just prior to it getting to Bermuda, which would put it on that bad side of the storm, being on that right-hand side of the storm. That's traditionally that stronger side of the storm, and so that poses more of an issue for Bermuda. There is another camp of computer models, including our own Fox model, that pushes it just to the east of Bermuda and then starts that turn back towards the west. So these are those little intricate details that really could end up meaning a lot as we go through the next several days. Here you see a bit more of that spread in those computer models as it nears Bermuda and passes over the island. So Bermuda is going to be with that one spot that we watch this extremely closely as we go through the next several days. Here it is on the Fox model, watching the storm working its way to the north. We've got Bermuda up here, right there. So there you see it going just to the east, but notice what happens, it kind of bends it back towards the west just after it passes Bermuda. Some of the other models bend that a little bit sooner, so just to the south of Bermuda, and that's what puts the storm on that bad side. Pushing it through Bermuda, giving them the stronger conditions. So we'll kind of fine tune this forecast as we go through the next several days, and we will keep you posted right here on myfoxhurricane.com.